Guys, it happened. After multiple videos, after years of me having a good old whinge on my live streams, after countless Reddit threads and Discord conversations, it's finally happening. The max suit in PlanetSide 2 is getting a nerf. Well, in theory that is. Max mains all around the world have been put on emotional support watch, and players far and near are rejoicing. Look, jokes aside, there's a lot to discuss here. So, g'day there once again viewers, your mate Kamikaze78 here, and today we're going to be talking about the upcoming changes to the max suit in PlanetSide 2. So folks, it's worth pointing out that these new changes are yet to make it to the live server. They're currently on the public test server for testing and for community feedback to circulate. The developers want to take their time sourcing said feedback because there are some pretty big changes here and there may be more coming. So there's also a good chance that some of the stuff we discuss in today's video may look a little different when we get to the live server update. Just keep that in mind. But the crux of today's video is going to be going through all of the major changes and following up with some conversation about what it's going to mean going forward for the max suit in the game, and whether or not I think these changes are actually enough to put the max in the right spot. There are other things to discuss in this PTS patch, but we're going to do that in another video and focus solely on the max suit today. So without further ado, let's get into these changes. And change number one, well, if you're in the know, you already know what it is. And quite frankly, it's probably the most important change on this list here, maybe just scratching the surface with another one that we'll get into later. Max suits can no longer be revived by a medic. I must say, ladies and gents, there's just something oh so satisfying about reading that out loud in the context of a patch note for the game. An absolutely massive change that addresses a part of the key issue that I've taken with the max suit for the last few years now, and how it impacts the ratio of risk versus reward that actually comes from pulling and playing in a max suit. A seriously based change, as the kids say, by the PlanetSide 2 development team here in this update. Now, in fairness, this is a change that comes with a giant question mark over it and is easily the most subject to feedback in this list if I'm reading it correctly. In the patch notes, it talks to how the change may have unintended side effects such as making max suits more timid in their playstyle. Interestingly enough though, the post talks to how that side effect of making maxes more timid only emphasizes the kind of campy and stagnant gameplay behavior that this change of no revives is attempting to solve. But from my perspective, and I think from the perspective of a lot of other players out there, that's not actually the issue we envisage the no revives change solving. For me at least, the problem with max suits being revivable stems from the fact that if I put in the effort to and successfully down a max suit, whether that be through 2 well-placed archer or decimator shots, or through good positioning as a light assault to take it out, then that effort can be completely undone if there happens to be a medic behind the max in question. It invalidates a good play that a player needs to make in a weak position against a max suit, and is a play that you now almost have to immediately repeat because, well, the max suit is back up again. And sure, this happens in the basic infantry game with revive grenades and so on and so forth, but the power discrepancy of a max suit completely exacerbates that issue. Let me know in the comment section if you agree with me, but I actually feel like the no revive suggestion is a really elegant solution to bringing the risk of successfully using a max suit, even though it's pretty easy to do so, but you get the point, more in line with the reward of using a max suit. It's a step in the right direction. When you kill a Juggernaut kill streak in Call of Duty, for example, you aren't able to revive it, aren't you? Hell, for a more direct comparison, in Battlefield 1, there was a Juggernaut, or max suit style battle pickup on the map. If you died in that, you also couldn't be revived if I remember correctly. So why should you be able to do that in PlanetSide? It doesn't make sense, it throws the power discrepancy completely through the roof, so I'm really hoping that this change stays in action when it comes to the live server. In addition, some other changes are coming to the max suit as well, some less impactful than others, but we'll go over all of them here. Firstly, the headshot multiplier for most max suit weapons is being brought down to 1.5 times from 2 times. Obviously, as a max, and with the lacking ability to aim down sights, headshots aren't always the priority, so I don't see this being the most impactful change on the list here, but it does reel in the potential time to kill that a max suit has with its weaponry, which I don't necessarily think is a bad call given the amount of HP and the intrinsic advantage they have. And I do want to nail this point home because I've seen some inconsistent commentary so far surrounding the headshot multiplier balance change, with some stating it's a reduction on headshot damage taken by the max suit, as opposed to the headshot damage dealt by the max suit. So I just want to make it abundantly clear that if my read on this is correct, and if the developers want to confirm in the comments, that'd be great, this is a nerf to the damage of headshots dealt by a max suit's weapons, not the other way around. So this is not a buff to the max suit survivability, if I'm reading this right. Now, on top of this, the max suit will no longer be able to equip phylactery and the safeguard implants, which, you know, makes sense with the lack of revives. Now, something else that I can see coming in the comment section from a mile away are the concerns that max suits with no revives are just going to fall prey to orbital strikes far easier now. It's true, that is most certainly what's going to happen going forward now. I can see orbitals really being used as a sort of a max crash counter tactic, which, let's be real, that's been the case for a long time now, and it honestly doesn't bother me too much given that orbital strikes often require far more resources or time investment to acquire versus a max suit, but a new defensive slot is being added to the max suit called Fallout Hardening, similar to that found on the Colossus tank. It reduces orbital strike damage by up to 22% at max rank, and also reduces burning damage as an added bonus on a max suit by 80% at max rank. So there's now a decision-making process to walk through if you opt to play a max suit in working out what kind of threat you want to be more effective in countering, similar to how the rest of the game operates, to be honest, so this really shouldn't be a big deal and is something that players should start thinking about now. The Defector's Time Bomb will also no longer kill a user and will instead inflict high self-damage, so prepare for a lot more Defectors running at you screaming bloody murder, I guess. Oh, and the NC Max weapons are getting another balance pass for ranged effectiveness, but I'm not going to list them all in this video. The long and short of it is, though, they don't look too impactful in the grand scheme of things. Overall, the NC Max is still going to be the most powerful in CQC environments. But moving on, we're now going to focus on easily the second most impactful change on this list for max suits going forward, and I've saved this till last because this may even have a stronger impact than revives going away. Max suits will now cost 350 nanites as opposed to 450 nanites. In the patch notes, it states that this is aiming to bring them in line with the Defector's price tag, but I also anticipate that this is being used as a counterbalance measure, if anything, to the no more revives, and to sort of pacify the angry max mains that are out there. Well, to a certain extent at least, but that's me putting on my tinfoil hat. Now, if there was a change in this patch that I was less supportive of, this would be it. And I know this may sound like me just being biased, but I've taken some time to work out what the implications of this are, so allow me to explain here. As we've said previously in this video, the changes that are being made to the max here have the strongest impact in reeling in that risk versus reward ratio when it comes to using one of these things, right? If you die in one, that's it. No more revives and no more undoing the hard work that comes from the opponent in taking out said max suit. It's a high value kill, it should carry that kind of consequence. Now, by reducing the cost of the max suit down to 350 nanites, we effectively allow somebody to chain pull a max suit even if they die immediately after the initial pull with full nanites, which in effect brings us back to the initial issue of max suits being more spammable again as a result. This is actually something I discussed in great length today on my live stream. I don't necessarily take issue with dealing with max suits in moderation, and directly for that matter. I think that's a big misconception that comes from, I would dare say, the more casually minded section of the community, or the community who just like to romp around in max suits all day. I actually view taking on a max suit as a challenge, and I'm not one to shy away from that challenge. Once again, in moderation, it feels like a mini boss fight in a way, I guess you could say. When I pull off a sick move against a max suit, or crack them like I have a can opener with an archer, it's happy days all round from me because I feel like I have put in a significant amount of effort as a somewhat skilled player to achieve that, and well, it's rewarding as a result. However, when it tips and becomes excessive and damaging to the flow of the game is when you're expected to rise to that challenge all of the time, because the economy of the game allows those you face to sit in such max suit tools constantly. And no matter how much effort you put into dealing with said max suit, you're going to have to deal with it again and again and again and again, especially if that player is half decent in the max suit and can go on long kill streaks, has membership, and has nanite boosts equipped as well. If one player, or hell, one outfit can constantly greet me with a max unit despite me putting in the hard yards to kill them, that sense of accomplishment and back and forth suddenly feels worthless. It means that I should just sod off and stop playing the game, because the odds are always stacked against my favor in that right. And I can hear what people are going to say in the comment section down below as well. Cammy, if you don't want to verse max suits in a disadvantaged position all the time, why not just play a max suit all the time like you claim that you can? And quite frankly guys, it's because I prefer to play the game in a more challenging and skillful way. I prefer to utilize the core infantry aspect of the game. I prefer to utilize the weaponry skill and mastery that comes from managing cone of fire and recoil on actual weapons that, you know, have such mechanics around them. Sitting in a max suit 24/7 is quite frankly uninteresting. It's boring. There's no challenge to it for a player like myself. And for players like myself who can abuse the max suit as such, bringing nanite costs down as a means to counteract the no revives change moves us back into the direction of spammability, as it lowers the threshold of how often max suits can be pulled back to back. Let's just say for argument's sake, you see a max crash coming in against a point hold that you're doing, and you drop an orbital strike on it as a means to counter it. Well, too bad. There's a chance that that platoon that you were versing may have enough nanites just to do it all over again, and well then, good luck to you. I've said it once and I'll say it again guys. The max suit is not something that should be mainable in this game. It should be this tool that you pull in select environments or for those critical base captures. Or if you're somebody who doesn't really care about painting the map with your faction's colors or the outcome of alerts, it should be something that you can pull every once in a while for a romp around in and for some easy game mode times if that's what you want to do. It's not a tool that should be used as a baseline KD booster tool for new players or for veteran players alike that you can just sit in 24/7. It should be treated like a treat and not the norm that essentially lets you play in a Call of Duty kill streak 24/7. If you die in a max suit, that should be it for a while. You made the choice to play a part of the game that carries a lot of reward potentially. There should be some long-standing risk to that decision. So, to loop back to the cost reduction here, it moves us back in the wrong direction if I'm being honest. However, there's one circumstance in which I think a cost reduction could actually work. That being a timer upon death of 15 to 30 minutes before you pull another max suit. This essentially means that at a worst case scenario, you would only be able to pull 2 to 4 max suits an hour. And for the rest of that time, you would be forced to a more normal infantry class or vehicle play if that's your calling. I think if you were to implement that timer alongside the nanite cost, I'd be okay with that. But as far as the nanite cost on its own is concerned, I think it's a bit of an overstep in counterbalancing the no revive change that has been made here. And I worry that it may actually make max suit spammability even worse in some scenarios. But there you have it, those are my proposed thoughts on the max suit changes that are currently sitting on the public test server. Either way, I do think we are taking some steps in the right direction here with this update. I do fear though that there are a couple of skeletons in the closet that may make things a little bit worse off. But I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comment section down below, so get typing away, do what you guys do best. If you're new to the channel, consider subscribing, and of course, if you enjoyed it while you're here, hit that like button as it does go a long way to supporting the channel and getting the video out to new viewers. And if you really want to support the channel further, guys, please do consider hitting that join button down below and becoming a channel member for as little as 99 cents US a month. It does go a long way. Once again, guys, I hope you enjoyed today's video. Peace out, and I will see you guys all in the next one. Take care, guys. Have a good one.